Hi, everyone. It's Transparent Tuesday, y'all. Welcome to Transparent Tuesday. If you've been here before, welcome back, community. If you're new, welcome to the community. But this is the PsycHE In Me community, and on Tuesdays, we have Transparent Tuesdays. And let's get into the intro.
PsycHE in me, the PsycHE in me.
All right, everyone. Let me know if you can hear me. I know last Tuesday we were having some trouble. Hey, TikTok. Thanks for those who are joining. All right, y'all. And my partner, she'll be here in a few. She's coming, but let a few more people get in. Comment that you can hear, comment that you're here, or share with some likes and hearts. I know that you guys can hear me. Hi, Wendy. Can you hear me? Well, today, guys, I'm going to, there's more coming in. Um, so this way I can see who's actually on, be on the live chat. I didn't put the chat up today. Okay, yes, you can hear me. Awesome. All right, so we're going to chat today, community, for Transparent Tuesday. Um, I wanted to play a quick clip for today. I meant to bring my Kleenexes, and I think I forgot. Um, I don't know if my partner can hear me. I guess I won't shout it to her. But anyways, today we're going to be talking about community, um, and it's something that doesn't get talked about a lot, or it does kind of get talked about a lot, right? But it's just kind of like the word be thrown around. So I don't want the word just to be thrown around, right? I want to know like what's the meaning behind it. And honestly, I want to talk about how it's misused and misunderstood and sometimes abused. And I'm gonna go into a little bit more detail after I play this clip on why I decided to talk about community and what community actually means, and what better way to join our community and find out and chat with you guys to see what does community actually means to you. Like, what does that look like? Back in February and probably a little bit before, early February, um, I had I was scrolling on social media. Anybody knows me, I'll be on there for a little bit. I'll scroll, make comment, and I'm off. I'm trying to get better at that though with the platform. But I had came across with this young boy. He was 7 years old, and he ended up taking his life because he was getting bullied. And I don't know why, but I just couldn't stop crying. Like my heart was so heavy, and I had called my mom because I was on my way from bringing my daughter from taking her to school, going back home to work. And I was like, Mom, I just don't know why I'm crying, but it's so heavy on me. Like the community failed him. Like, where was the community at? Like, did he have a church home? Was there a church nearby? What was the who was in his neighborhood? Like, did anybody try to be a big brother, big sister to him, like mentor him? Like, where's the community? I thought about the politicians and things of that sort. What type of resources did he have? Did he not have, or was he knowledgeable about, not knowledgeable about? It was different emotions and stuff that was coming in my head while I was going through that, and I came up with a whole bunch of stuff, and so I had attended a breakthrough community brunch, and I was gifted this journal. I think I showed it before. That has for me to write like my thoughts and my emotions and stuff. And so I just when I got home after I got off the phone with her, I just started writing down like what community is, what does it mean, what does it mean to me, and what does it look like to me. And so I'm gonna play this clip because then my mom ended up mentioning community as well as she was ministering on the pulpit, and then we attended the prayer line today, the Breakthrough Community Prayer Line, and community was brought up again. I said, okay, it can't be a coincidence. Like sometimes I'm still working on it, being transparent. Like when I hear something, I'm writing down emotions and I'm writing down what God's telling me. I'll be like, is that God? Am I in my feelings? But I literally was so passionate about the community that I did the PsycHE in Me diaries. I don't know if you joined before, but I had mentioned I'm gonna start doing the PsycHE diaries where I'm just videoing how I'm feeling for that day or that time or wherever I'm at, just documenting it. So I'm gonna play this quick clip real fast to let you know. This was about in February 26th. So with all the confirmations, I was like, yeah, let's talk about community and what it means to us. So here we go.
Hey guys, so it's been a rainy day if you couldn't tell. This is Team All Natural. But I wanted to come to you today because I want to do my PsycHE diaries. And so this is going to be page 1 of my PsycHE diary. I have been feeling a very strong, or having a very strong feeling when it comes to community, right? And I'm like, is anybody else thinking how I'm thinking? Like, what truly is community? Like, what is the true meaning? How do people define it? Is it defined differently culturally? Is it defined differently in politics and organizations and churches? Like, different countries, cities, states, because there's different state laws and then there's federal laws and certain things that people may believe or what they contribute to or support when it comes to a true, community. Because I feel like the community is kind of always being used and kind of abused. And I'm going to go a little bit deeper into what I mean by that, but I feel like the community is not for the upkeep and building up. We're supposed to be building up the community, having different resources for the community, enriching and enlightening our community, just like an upgrade in our community, right? But I feel like we're not using and helping out the community and truly being a community as it should be, right? As we should be doing. And I just want to talk about it because what is community to you? I
All right. So that was my clip that I did back in February. I think that was on February 26th. So, like I said, when I got confirmation this morning, I was like, okay, we got to talk about what community is, what that means to us, and what that looks like because sometimes community looks different ways to different people. It may have a different meaning from someone else. My meaning might not be the same meaning. So, since my partner is back joining us,
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Transparent Tuesday.
and so we just played a clip and we're just talking about like what does community actually mean um, to us. You wanna talk about yeah, or to them, to us, to everyone. Like what does community mean to you when you think about community?
Well, I think community to me is something that I live by. Is as you grow, always make sure you reach back and teach one, right? And I think for me, community is togetherness. It's the coming together as one, right? And not being selfish about I'm just in it for me, right? I hear people sometimes say, well, I got mine, they got to get theirs, they got to figure it out. But what if they didn't have the same resources that you had? What if they didn't have the same opportunity that you have? And now that you've had that opportunity to become successful and or learn something, why not go back and help the community? So for me, when I think about my upbringing in the community, it was a one for all and all for one. If you found out that something was going on or they were giving out free, meals or whatever, and I'm just gonna keep it real, them big old blocks of cheese and stuff like that. You would share that with everybody and let them know, hey, they're giving away this or they're giving away that. And we really were one community, helping each other out, sharing resources, sharing, information. And so for me, that's how I look at the community, is making sure that it's a group of people gathered together for one common cause, right? And that's to make sure
Mm-hmm.
that we take care of each other and make sure that everybody, not just one or two people, but everybody is good. That's how I look at a community.
Yep, that's good. I'm just giving shout outs because I'm looking. I have the chats up now, but I think I already shouted you out, Wendy Brown. But hello again. Could you test it out if you could hear me? Hi, Miss Jacqueline. Hi, Melanie. Well, God, Mama D. Hi, Lady T. And for everyone else who's out there that if I haven't mentioned you, TikTok, I see some join. Thanks for joining us. And again, Instagram. But for me, community means like sharing something that's meaningful with a purpose for people, whether it's like locations, values, interests, experiences. They're like all integrated in one, and that comes from the community. So I think it's just more than just a place, right? Community involves like connection, meaning I feel like I'm being seen, I feel like I'm being heard, I feel like I'm being understood. And again, this is my perception of what community means to me. So you all let me know in the chat what community means to you. I also feel like it's like a sense of belonging, right? Like you want to know that you're accepted as you are. Also, I think this is the one that we get tripped up on sometimes. It's like shared responsibility, right? Knowing that you're looking out for one another, not as she mentioned, just one person looking out for themselves, but you're actually looking out for one another. It's a shared responsibility. Because let's all be real, when you have a lot of responsibility on you and it's not shared, it can get overwhelming. And you're like, listen, I need somebody to help me with this responsibility. Like you got to take whether it's task at home, at work, wherever it may be. Sometimes you like, okay, I'm responsible for this, but it's a shared responsibility depending on the common goal and task. And then also I think community is like a common purpose, right? You're working together or working towards something together. So that would be mine. It's like connection, belonging, shared responsibility, and having a common purpose is community to me. And as I mentioned, for those who may not have heard me, I have played a clip so you can go back and look at it. But I had gotten emotional, as I mentioned. It was a 7-year-old boy, and he had took his life due to being bullied. And I don't know if you guys go through this, but sometimes, like if somebody's sharing, whether it's a testimony or just, expressing my friends or expressing something to me, clients, I can't, because I gotta have that poker face on. But depending on who it is, sometimes I can feel what they're saying, and it just like something just gets me, and I'm just being a crybaby, or I'm just my tears are flowing because I feel like I can feel what they're feeling. And this time it was like I just could feel the pain. I'm like, dang, I felt like he was let down. And so when I talked about community, I was like, it's not we can go for it because again, it's dealing with the mind, it's dealing with the body, it's dealing with the soul, right? For the mind, what am I thinking? How am I showing up? Am I being understood in what I'm trying to express? What's going on in here, right? Can I share my interests or things that's going on in my mind? Do we have the same thoughts? Do we not? When it comes to the body, right? It's actually like taking action. Are you one who's to go with me and partner up and link up with me? Be like, okay, let's go. Or are you one that's like, okay, I'm a little tired in my body. I can't go. And then just for the soul part, like, are you willing to be helpful, right? Are you willing to do what you have to do for one another to hit to reach a common task or a common goal for that task? So that's where it kind of comes to play in. But when I talked about it, I was like, okay, we can go from a spiritual point when it comes with community for churches, right? And then I said, I don't want to just stop there with community because that's not where it stops at. It's neighborhoods, right? Like, where did it come from? Where did it derive from? And I'm not going to go in detail, but if you look up the word community and what it means from the Latin word, you would see that it's actually calm, and then it's called munus. And when you look at what munus means, it means shared amongst each other, shared together, gifts together, gifted together. And it was saying that the calm part, which they known as calm, is joining, right? And it's something that's put out together. So when you put it together, where you're saying come together and gift in one, you put it together, you're coming together with your shared gifts, right? Your shared beliefs and values, as I mentioned before. So take a look at actually what community come from, what it means, and where it derives from. I love to see like how did we get up with this word, right? Where did it come from? And normally words, when you put them together, they have meanings to them. If you kind of take them apart and put them together, you'll see what that word actually means. But for me, it was like I said, it wasn't just churches; it was neighborhood. I was thinking about the political standpoint of views for certain things, even organizations. And so when I go into it, I was like, wow, did he have the community? And I looked at the neighborhood. Where was he? Where was he at? Oftentimes, when we look at the political views, I feel like they do manipulation, right? They have a great influence on certain people, right? And when they talk to certain neighborhoods and certain communities, they're like, vote for us. We're going to do this changes. We're going to have this. They have a whole, blueprint of what they're going to do. And then as soon as they're elected, you don't see anything, right? There's still some holes maybe in the road. There's still the limited resources that they may have in school. The school
Yep.
may need rebuilding, old books.
Yep.
You have a school that's way down the line, but because of where they are demographically, they have the better resources where yours don't. But they promise you and influence, hey, we're going to change this. We're going to have new people, and I'm going to do this and do that. And, the community actually believed them, right? The neighborhood was like, oh, yeah, spending money buying signs or even, using their time. Time is precious, okay, and it's valuable. You're sharing their posts, sharing to go vote for them and things of that nature. But then it's like, okay, you used me basically. You gave an influence and said you're going to do this for me, but you kind of misused me and abused me at the same time because I don't have help. You used me for your own personal gain. It was supposed to be, a shared responsibility. I vote you in off of the values that I thought we had in common, the interests that I thought we had in common. But here you are now going back on your word and what you said. I can't do it alone. I needed you because you had an upper hand, more resources, a little bit more powerful. And I thought you was going to do what you're supposed to do. So I thought about that. And with him taking his life, I was like, well, politicians, we know this is something heavy that's going on in the world and in our community with younger folks every now and then are literally taking their lives, whether it's due to bullying or stress. And I'll be like, how? But when you hear the baby stories, I listen to them, I'll be like, wow, like some of their stories that you hear that they went through, it's like, I haven't even experienced that yet in my adulthood, right? And I didn't ever experience it in my childhood. But when you listen to their stories, it's like, wow. And I can't tell how many times I had to come up with a safety plan with kiddos that I had and talked to. And it's really sad. But I look at that and say, okay, we know it's a problem, but where are we at? Who's going to take a stand and say, okay, we can implement other agendas in the school, right? We took out God, we took out prayer. There's no covering for our babies. What else can we do? What can you put in that, okay, this kid would be responsible, held liable? Some are now doing that, held liable for, bullying. Or, I think he sent a letter to his mom saying he didn't want to be, hopefully that she's stress free and that he's not a burden on her anymore and that she can live peacefully without struggling with him now that he's gone. And then he also had mentioned about the bullying and stuff because she was having to take off work and go up to his school. And I was like, my God, like, where was the administrator said? Like, where was his community? Sometimes when you're in trust and you have teachers, that's a community. Sometimes that's the only parent that's away from home because they're with your child every day, right? With ample hours and time at a time. And so I feel like I'm trying not to get emotional, but I feel like as a community, we do a disservice, and that was for the part with politicians. The teachers will be just for the neighborhood and coming in. And there are some awesome teachers that treat their kids as if it's their own, the way it should be, and even settling down. And I think when it comes to, and you let me know if I go off track, 'cause I can talk forever. But the other point for community that I see is when it comes to demographics, right? And I'm not making it a black and white thing because sometimes it can be whomever, right? But I do know statistics doesn't lie, right? Well, sometimes people screw with them, but if you do it for real and you go to the actual neighborhoods and you do the surveys correctly, the stats won't lie. And if you look at the demographics, right, or where these hair salons are, where these nail salons are, where the beauty supply stores are, you'll see that they're located even from grocery stores. I learned this in a psychology class where we're actually paid to tell you what to put on the bottom shelf where it's reachable for the kids to get. So if you want to have the unhealthy stuff or the sugary stuff, you put that at the bottom because it's easy for the kids to reach. If you notice, the healthier things are on top. And I was like, wow, it goes off by color, even from cars. It's amazing. But anyways, back on topic. When you look at certain stores, and beauty supply stores, where are they located at? And I was sharing this because I was like, I got followed one time. Anybody know me? I don't play that. You don't know me. I don't have a reason to steal, right? And I'm not bragging, but I'm very humble and blessed, right? So I don't have a reason to steal, but the way that you're following me just for me to come inside of a store, and when I'm telling someone, like, oh yeah, they've been robbed before. It's a lot of robbing going on, and people stealing from out the store because of the community. And I'm like, okay, I know they looked before they purchased, and put their spot in their store there. I know you looked at the demographics and you strategically planned and said, okay, this is where this demographic sits, right? It's more people here. This is where the money will come in because of where we at this location. So we'll get their money because these are the ones that's going to be coming in to buy the hair, to buy the nails, to buy the lashes, all that. So you strategically plan to put your store there. If you strategically plan to put your store there, why are you treating me like I'm a felon having to follow me? If it was that deep, why even come into the neighborhood, right? Like, why not hire a security guard if you thought that? But do not follow me. If anybody know, that's a pet peeve of mine. Do not follow me while I'm trying to shop. If it's like that, I won't spend not a penny on you. And so I just thought about that. Like, the community get misused and abused. We're good enough for you to use the money, right? Or to use their dollars and their money. And good enough to be in the location, right? To use us. But then you abuse us at the same time because you're already, you know, stereotyping us, right? And that made me feel uncomfortable, and I didn't like it, so I don't even go to that spot no more. And for the ones that knows me, they know who I'm talking about. But I'm not gonna do them like that and call them out. But I do not go to that spot anymore. And then also I was talking about the spiritual part of it. And you can tap in when you want to, but for me, it was for the churches. Like, did he have a church home? Did he know God? And oftentimes, when I was crying and going through this, I was like, man, you have all these big mega churches, right? Don't get me wrong, the small churches can do some stuff too. But you got these big mega churches, and I'm looking at billionaires and millionaires being spent. And you may have that one faithful mom or dad, right? That's a single parent working two jobs, and faithfully paying their tithes, maybe $20, sometimes $100, and that's all they have because of what they're being, taught and what they read in the word, and they're being obedience and paying their tithes. But then at the same time, you got this big old church, and you're now on your third property for a mansion that costs another millions of dollars. And yet you have this single mom or single dad at your church struggling and just gave, the last 10, 20, $100 they had being obedience and doing their tithes. And yet they don't know where their next meal coming from. How does that work? So it made me think about that. Like, did he have support? Was there a church? Whether if it wasn't his local church, it's a church always somewhere in a neighborhood. And oftentimes, as you see certain PWI schools or even nice HBCU schools, you look at the demographics and you will see where they purchased the school at. Like, I went to North Carolina Central University. And if you look at where Duke University is set, you would be shocked, because I was shocked when I was like, oh, wow, this is where Duke at, because it wasn't far from us, but like, this is where Duke at. But they will find a certain, spot demographically where it's cheaper to purchase the land, and then you can build on top of that. And so you oftentimes find people doing that same thing. And I just thought about it. I was like, dang, I know there had been a church somewhere, even if they didn't go to your church. Did you all not reach out the same way I read across and came across the news? You had to been hearing it, right? You had to been knowing about it. If you didn't, a student from that neighborhood had to at least go to your church. Someone had to know. And so I just thought about that. I was like, dang, did anybody, as you mentioned before, did anybody tell him that they love him? Did anybody tell him that he does mean something to somebody, that he's not a burden, that anybody share Bible stories with him to let him know there are certain people that went through the same thing that was feeling like that, who may have got picked on, even like the women with the issue of blood. And then, God didn't just deliver her from that and healed her, but he also restored her identity in the community. So it just makes you think about certain things. Like, did anybody share that with him? And I just think we can do a better job of it. I really do think we can do a better job. And that's just something heavy on me. So this morning, we were given a task in our breakthrough prayer line on what to do. So I'm going to do that, but I'm also going to hit the streets, because You can't have fear and be like, oh, what neighborhood? I'll be a hypocrite saying that. You can't have a fear and it's like, I'm not going to that neighborhood. It's sketchy, right? Sometimes that be the one that probably protects you the most and just, the nicest people. You never know. I'm not saying, you still use wisdom and stuff, of course, but I'm going to be hitting the streets and I want to know what community actually means to the community. Like, what does that look like for you? What are you lacking in? Do you know that God loves you, right? And not just going in, just throwing it down, but just being genuine and having a conversation, want to know, especially the young babies. 7 years old, that should have been the last of his worry, trying to take his life, not being a burden on his struggling mom or because he getting bullied and picked on. And so I can contribute as well. We have the PsycHE community. I want to do more within this community. And that's another thing. Just because you're a part of one community don't mean you can't be part of another community. Because you're better as a team, right? And when you integrate, I might have some resources, you might have some resources. There might be some people I know, we know, some people I don't know. And so we come together, it'll be something more powerful. And that's the part when I highlighted community. At the end, it has unity, togetherness. And so that's just my take on it because I did good. I didn't cry because I had cried actually talking about what we was going to talk about today. But I actually did good this time, so I didn't cry. I was going to need my tissues. But what's your take on it when it comes to those different parts from just not churches for a community, but when it comes to also like the politicians,
Yeah.
different organizations and things that you see? What does that look like?
So definitely totally agree with you as far as the politicians go, right? And anyone that knows a politician, they're liars. And I'm just going to be honest. They're manipulators. And they're, especially when you get to certain roles, right? Because you don't really, while you want to do right, and I truly believe some of them go in want to do right, but a lot of them go in unlearned. You don't own as much as you thought you did. Okay, so there are people controlling that, lobbyists controlling a lot of stuff that you can and cannot do. And so while you go in there with the objective, I'm going to go help my community, I'm going to make the change. I truly believe a lot of them, right? Not all, but a lot of them do go in with that mindset that I'm going to go make a change in my community. But I feel like a lot of times they get met with the true reality. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no, we're not spending money on that uh, high risk community, right? We're going to do X, Y, Z. And no, we can't take the ABC stores off the corner. You know what I mean? Look at things, y'all. When you're
Yeah.
looking at stuff, where are the ABC stores at mostly? Where do
Mm-hmm.
you find them at? And so at the end of the day, it's things that I be thinking about all the time. And so with politicians, I don't, they have their place. Everybody has their place.
Mm-hmm.
But don't put your whole trust in one. You
Right.
pray about it, who you're going to vote for. You look to see who you feel could do the best in your community. But at the end of the day, my trust is in God. And that's just me because I know how politicians get down. And so for me, that when you're dealing with that, yes, they're gonna prey on the vulnerable, PREY. They're gonna prey on the vulnerable ones. They're gonna prey on the gullible ones, the
Mm-hmm.
uneducated ones. And I don't mean that in an ugly way, but as I guess told us last week, ignorance is not a bad thing. It just means you're unlearned. And
Mm-hmm.
so if you're not one that spends a lot of time learning about politics, learning about the different things that go on, you won't know. And
Right.
so you'll listen to something that sounds good and you're thinking, yeah, they're going to come do this for us. And then just to be disappointed, right? Just to be disappointed in 6 months to a year after they're elected. So we just have to stay prayerful um, when it comes to that and be mindful. But I say to anybody that is dealing with that, shame on you. Don't use people to get what you want and then forget to help them out. And I'll say that going into the church. I'm sorry, but as a minister, I'm just going to tell the truth. We have an opportunity in the churches to do a much better job than what we're doing. Sunday after Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because somebody's having something every day in their church. But we go in there and we sing and we dance and we shout and we get preached to. Then we go home and we start the week again. But is that how it's supposed to be? because what we're doing is preaching to the saved. A lot of times we're preaching to the ones that's already got it, it made God their Jesus the head of their life and all that good stuff like that. But what about the ones that are lost? Do we take and say, hey, this Sunday we all gonna get up and we're gonna hit our community. And instead of having church as usual, we're gonna take it to the streets. Don't just go in the communities to give out clothes and this is just something that has been on my heart for years. Don't just go to a community and pass out clothes or do a one-time thing and that community doesn't see you again. While clothes are important and you're helping, clothe the needy, which God says when you've done it to the least of them, you've done it unto him. But the thing that falls on my heart so heavily is that did we circle back? Did we circle back, church, to go back in that community? And why can't we set up and ask, can we set up a little stage in the foyer of the community and maybe serve some hot dogs or whatever the case may be and do some singing and minister to the ones that's coming up? And I don't mean minister by choking down the word of God, because you've got to know how to be effective in your witnessing. So, but letting them know that Jesus loves you, that we love you, and we see you, and we want to help you. And so I've been dealing with death with several of two of my teens that I ministered to and had in my youth group when I was a youth minister when I first started out for 12 years. I had these kids from when they was probably like 11 till they graduated high school. And most of them probably till they got to high school. But to hear that they're leaving here, tragedy, it made me stop and think, like, am I doing enough? And so when we talk about community, me and Brittany been talking about this, and I'm getting used to the social media, guys. I'm not going to kid y'all. It's not something that I do every day, but I'm getting used to it and trying to go out there and make a difference and to tell people about that they're loved. The single moms out there are fighting. I look on Facebook sometimes and see them crying on Facebook. They're tired. They're going to give their kids away because they can't take it no more. And all I think about is, who's helping? Church, where are you at? There's a church on every corner. But what are you doing? What are you doing? Why aren't y'all coming together? You got 10 members. They got 15 members. You got 5 members. Why can't y'all come together and go out there and tackle the streets? So I get very passionate about certain things because we've got to ensure that we are doing our part. It's not enough, y'all, for us just to make sure our families are straight. And some people are like that. And y'all have to forgive me the way I'm talking about my TMJ is cutting up today. But we have to make sure that we are serving the community. And again, I'm not down in the churches. I love my church. And I love all churches that are trying to do God's work. And I'm just saying, let's make sure we're about our Father's business. Because like we were saying, Jesus went to the streets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He went to the streets. Mm-hmm. And we can't be afraid of the streets. And we got to let these kids know we're losing these kids because nobody is telling them. No one is helping them with the bullying. Mental health is real. You got fathers taking their whole families out. It's a lot going on mentally. And we have got to recognize that, church. Yes, go preach to them about their souls being saved, but the psyche is wounded. The psyche is wounded. And we've got to be a community. We can't do everything, but we can give resources. We can give spiritual advice. I want my brothers, and that ain't no color to it. It's black, white, Mexican, Chinese, whoever. I'm talking men, folks. I want my brothers to feel comfortable, especially in the black community, feel comfortable going to talk to somebody because you got a lot on you. You got a lot that's expected of you when you have a family to provide, to take care, to protect, right? You have a lot on you. And then this world is not the best one for you, right? They're not going to always be on your side. Some say it's been set up for failure, right? And so you got all that stacked against you. That's a heavy burden for you to carry. And when you don't get that help, because we make them feel like it's a weakness to cry. Men don't cry. Men supposed to have their chest out. Men don't do this. Men supposed to do this. But I beg to differ because God said he created them, male, female. He didn't say I gave a male this and I didn't give him no emotions from crying, or I didn't give him no emotions on feeling sad or feeling heavy. But the female, I gave you all those emotions. That's a lie from the pits of hell. He created them the same. Same emotions, guys. Same psyche. He created them the same. Yeah. So my plea tonight, because this is something so personal, is for you all to be comfortable going and talking to somebody before things get too bad. And you feel like the only way out is to end everybody. That is a trick of the enemy. But I also know life is real, right? Oh, yeah. And people really have conditions that do need to be treated, y'all. And yes, Jesus can heal. Yes, he's a mind regulator. He's a healer. He's a deliverer. He's all of that. But he also created these folk to have a little bit more scientific knowledge of the human body. They are your doctors. They are your psychologists and your psychiatrists. He's given them an ability to learn and study the human mind, the human body. And so when we learn that and know that, yes, God can do it all. However, I truly believe that he's given scientific an awareness and a heightened awareness to those that can reach where you need to be reached. But I just encourage y'all, and I'm going to let Brittany have it because y'all is, woo. But I just encourage y'all tonight, my church community, my PsycHE community. Let's figure out how to go hit these streets. Put the tennis shoes on. Put the jeans on. Be relatable. Don't come out there in suits. Don't come out there looking like you about to go to church. Come out there looking like, hey, I'm out here to work. I'm out here to pray for you. And even if they don't come to your church, so what? This ain't about filling your church up. This is about ensuring that people have an opportunity to know about a soon coming king and the opportunity to know that they don't have to stay the same. I come from very humble beginnings. So I'm not speaking about something I don't know. I come from very humble beginnings. And I know that he's able. And I know that my mother instilling what she instilled in me, I kept saying to myself, I'm going to be better than this. I'm going to make sure that I do this and I don't have to do X, Y, Z. We got to go back to that. Helping these children, y'all. Helping the young folk. Helping these single mothers. Helping these single fathers. There's single fathers out there too. There's single fathers out there too. But helping each other as a community. So that's my heart. I'm pouring it out to y'all tonight with a Transparent Tuesday because I'm very hurt. I'm very hurt that my babies are leaving here and both of them were 29 years old. 29 years old. Both taken out by the same means. Both of them hit by a car. Different times, 1 month apart. 1 month. And all I can think about is they knew who God was and they never forgot that. But what I have to think about is did anybody remind them that they were loved? Did anybody tell them that they could still be used? Did anybody tell them that the church could still use them? Even being in their wrong. Because as I preached on Sunday, our brother John said, if you say that you don't have a sin, you're a liar. You're a liar. We all have things we have to work on. But my heart tonight just says to all of us that's listening, hear me when I say, I'm going to hit them streets. And I'm going back in these communities. And I'm going to make sure that these children understand you can't call yourself an outreach and you don't do no outreaching. That's not outreach. Outreach is out in the streets. Outreach is in those communities. Outreach starts internally. So my daughter said to me, she said, Mama, you charity starts at home, and we like to say that, but when we say it, we're talking about our own house. But what she said to me was so profound. She said, No, I'm talking about God's house. Charity should start right here. And we'll talk about our church, Zion. She said, charity should start right here in Zion. We should be making sure, because Bishop can't do it all. Lady T can't do it all. We should be making sure that we are doing our part to ensure that everybody's okay. Because just because they sit on the pews don't mean they're okay. And that is where I hold my head up and say, God, use my voice. Use me for your glory. It's not about being selfish, but it's about helping anybody. And even if they don't go to my church and I know you by way of Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, know that the PsycHE community is a community that is here to support, is here to help, and is here to help you understand that you have a place here. You have a place here on this earth to do something, regardless of what walk you're walking. Regardless of what walk you're walking, there's still hope. If you got breath in your body, there's still hope.
Yep. And I agree wholeheartedly with that. And then charity does start at home. And then also what brought me up to it, to thinking about it with the incident when I was talking about community is I said, we sit in church, right? And not even church, even from a little girl, from my grandparents, from aunts and uncles, you hear all the time, do you know how much power you hold? Do you know not only who you are, but whose you are? I'm about to get emotional. It's all right. It's transparent. People say, but I said, if we really knew how much power we have, and how much power we say we hold, why haven't we done a block party? Why haven't we cut off the street and did God's prayer and said his prayer in the street? Why haven't we all reunited from the mega churches to the small churches and take back our city? And while we know where we want to say, whether it's spiritual warfare, whether it's psychological warfare, whatever you may want to say what it is, it can be both, and it's all integrated for the mind, the spirit, and the body. It's all one. So if we say we hold power, where is the power? And I'm looking like, I see certain ones, but she's my mom. But I'm looking at other people like, well, where is the power? Not just one person. If you're saying we all hold it, where are we at? Why haven't we hit the streets? Why haven't we done a block party and did the prayer? Why haven't we took our cities back yet? And so that was very heavy on me when that little boy died. I was just feeling, when I said I didn't bring my journal, but when I said I was writing a whole book on how I was feeling, I was angry, I was sad, I was hurt, but then I also was motivated. Like, I can't do it alone. But I do know some people, and also when you do a community and you're out there doing outreach, and you don't have to do it by yourself. If you know somebody that has the same goal, the same common interest, and the same thing that you're trying to achieve, you partner up with them. You don't have to go by yourself. Find a partner if you're afraid to hit the streets alone or whatever the cause may be. But that's just something that really bothered me with the power. You can't keep saying we possess power and do we know the power we have when I'm not even seeing the power that we trying to confess that we have is not being used. It looked like it's being weaponized against us, or the reason why you're not using it is because they've done their job to show and kind of strip you from your power, and so you're just used to routine things. So that was it, but I'm not trying to get back emotional because I thought I'm trying in the beginning to talk about them, but that was also something I had wrote about when it comes to community, because I'm just tired of hearing it. Like, I want to see it being used.
Because we are power. We're powerful people, and we don't walk in it. A lot of us don't walk in the power, and we walk as weaklings. But he didn't give us the spirit of fear. Fear comes in, but he didn't give that to us. He gave us a power, and I hold on to that word power, love, and a sound mind. And so when you walk in the power that has been given up to you, then there comes boldness, there comes conviction, there comes strength. And so I think that, and you expecting something. If you're walking in the power of God, you should be expecting change. When you walk in a room, there should be something about the room, the atmosphere that shifts because you're there. There should be something that's happening with the powerful move that you have on you. um, and just don't believe they possess it. So it's even hard for you to pray for somebody because you can't even believe it for yourself. So how can you believe it for someone else if you can't even believe it for yourself? So I feel like, to your point, Brian, I love your purity and your transparency because people think we are powerless. I'm just gonna tell the church now. People, when I talk to folks, they do not think we are powerful at all. They think we're hypocrites. They think that we are a church full of backbiters, this, that. And while that may be true in some places because ain't nobody perfect, what I do know is that we're coming together we should be coming together on one accord to get things done. And so, to your point, Brittany, you know, um, the scripture is slipping my mind right now, but it says that um, the kingdom suffers violence, but the violence is taken by force. And so we've got to, and I hope I quoted that right because it's slipping my mind. I can't even remember the scripture, but in other words, we've got to know that we've got to take things. We can't just sit there and be passive, but we've got to take things. And I'm not telling you to go in the alleyway. There ain't nobody telling you to tip God. But I am saying come together and you could crank up, like I said, a little grill and serve some hot dogs or something. Feed them while you feed the soul. Pass out the little pamphlets. Remind them of who we are. And I think
they are,
and who they
and
are.
that they're seen,
You
that they're
are
heard.
somebody.
Listen to them,
Yes.
hear their story.
Hear their story because everybody got one.
They do.
Whether they want to share it or not, everybody has a story.
Yeah.
And we sometimes want to pass judgment on people because of the way they're living. But I had to learn that. God taught me that through my youth ministry. Everybody's got a story. You don't know how they got to be where they are, how they got to be in that situation that they're in, how they got to be in that lifestyle they're in. You don't know it till you sit down and talk with them and hear their story. Because a lot of them want out, but they don't know how. They don't believe they can get out of their situation. So that's my take tonight. Y'all can chime in. I've seen some comments and things because it's so real. And I'm just pleading with the people that will see this, even in your families. Stop being scared to tell them the truth. Stop being afraid to tell them the truth. And you start with just, do you know I love you? Do you know you're somebody? Do you know I see you? Do you know God loves you? How can I help you? What do you have need of? And I can't give them, but I can find some resources. I know that I'm very resourceful. So I can find some resources to help you if I can't do it myself. So that's my take, y'all, on the community tonight, and that my heart is just filled. I'm tired of church as usual. I'm tired of going through the same over and over and over again. My bishop says it all the time. I'm tired. I want to do something different. I want to make sure that I'm doing my part to build the kingdom. So I just encourage you all, um, get out there and talk to somebody before the end of the week. Invite them to church. Invite them. Get out there and talk to somebody by the end of the week. I've made a challenge to myself to minister to somebody, witness to somebody, at least one person a week. At least. At least. At least. So motivate them, encourage them.
Yep. And I forgot, I forgot the scripture that I had wanted to talk about, but we about to run out of time, that people like to use when it came to the church with 2 Corinthians. I don't know. When it says come out from amongst them and be ye separate.
Be ye separated. I think it's 2 Corinthians 16.
But I was just saying, like, how some kind of be using that as an excuse and thinking he means, like, not to have any dealings with them, or whatever it is that you're trying to separate from yourself from. Like, they'll use that as an excuse and kind of as a clutch. And so I think separation and community kind of go go in together. Because it's like, are you using separation to come together as far as separating yourself from yourself and you're joining in a community, or are you staying separated to where you just got to be in your box alone as long as I'm good, I'm straight, right? But we can go into that later. Maybe I do my little diary on that one, but that was one that I wanted to talk about with that scripture and people take 2 Corinthians 6:17.
I think well, and yes, we can definitely talk about that and go into that a little bit more at another time. But you are right, and I see what you're saying. Because yes, he does tell us that. I do think people use that out of context sometimes to keep from dealing with certain types of people. That's just me. Now, I'm not saying everybody like that, but I feel like some people use that as an excuse so they don't have to talk to certain types of people. But the Lord told us to go out and preach to all nations. We're supposed to cover everybody. Everybody. And so, yeah, so we can talk about that a little deeper another time.
Yeah, but we do it like
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Well, y'all had a transparent Tuesday because I don't be showing my emotions. Let you see me at church and the spirit just have its way. So for me to get on here, y'all got a real transparent Tuesday because I don't like people down like that crying. But happy transparent Tuesday, y'all. That was my heart, and it was been heavy on me ever since like really early February. And like I said, I think I ended up doing that PsycHE Diaries and documenting that clip I showed on February 26th. So I hope y'all enjoyed it. Please, 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 while you're visiting, I'm glad you're saying hi. I'm glad with the hearts and the likes. But y'all, we are a community. We can't do it alone. As I mentioned, if y'all have some motivational posts, if y'all have resources, if y'all have events that you think will help the PsycHE in Me community, please share it. I don't have to post everything. Now I do because it was some crazy stuff that where there's a group, as long as you're in certain groups, anybody can send the stuff to a group. So I do have it where I look at it first and then share it on the page. But if y'all have something, please share it because it's not just me and it's not just Brenda, which is my mama wouldn't call you by your name, but for the viewers. It's not just about us. We are really a community, so we can't do it alone. I might not, like I said, I don't know everything. I don't know everybody, but with us in the community, we knows somebody, right? And so share that. If you got a Monday motivational, if it's on Tuesday or Wednesday and you feel like this will be good, this might encourage somebody, please drop it in the chat. It don't have to be from the PsycHE in Me, right? It could be you yourself, Wendy, Deanie, Kevin. I'm just trying to read the names down that I see right now. Anybody that's joining, it can be y'all. Brenda. Oh hey, Brenda Lowe. It can be Brenda. It can be anybody that's on here. Just share. And that's also for any resources. And if you can think of something that we can do as a community, if you have your own community or certain outreaches that aligns, because again, community is something that you share the same interests and beliefs and value. If it aligns with it, drop it and let us know. We might try to join you and see what we can do together. So I just want to put that out there. But I love you all. I love this community. I feel like a weight has just been lifted because now I finally didn't hold in what I was saying. Because y'all, I kept that video in my draft. And I was like, okay, this is like the third time. I'm not the only one feeling this way about community. Let me share the clip that I had did before and post it. So I'm going to do a better job of that and knowing how to just release and stop keeping stuff to myself. And you all be encouraged to do the same. So I love y'all. I love this community. And I'm praying for better because community is everything, y'all. And we grow stronger together. It's not a cliche saying. It's really true.
It is so true.
All right. Bye, y'all. Love y'all.
Good night.
Bye, TikTok.
Bye, TikTok.
Bye,
Thanks
Insta.
for joining.